Hey guys, Carl from Purple Misplays. Today I'm taking a look at Ziggurat, a legacy adventure from designers Matt Leacock and Rob Daviau and publisher MindWare. This is a sort of family weight cooperative game marked here as a legacy game as well. If you recognize these designers' names at all, you probably know Matt Leacock from his work on Pandemic, a nice, very popular, very well-established cooperative game. And now with Rob Daviau, the pair of them together have sort of worked on many legacy games before, specifically Pandemic Legacy, which is still probably the most well-regarded and most popular of these legacy games, but Rob Daviau is sort of the father of this concept of legacy. If you don't know what a legacy game is, it is a game that you play through over multiple chapters or scenarios. In this case, you'll be playing through a variety of different chapters, and with every chapter, rules are going to change. Physical things will be sort of added to or taken away from or changed in some way in the game, so that every time you play the game, the experience is sort of evolving as you play through. This time as a legacy adventure, sort of telling a narrative story as you play through. Disclaimer, I was given a review copy of this game for this video, but as always, I will do my best to give you my own honest opinion on this game. Let's head down to the table to see how this one plays, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. Before I get started, I do want to explain that this is a legacy campaign game, which means that there is some narrative, there will be some hidden things, and there will be some slight spoilers here. Now, what I'm going to show you is exactly what I was shown and what I played through in the demo at PAX Unplugged, which is going to be the first chapter of the game, but there will be some slight spoilers. I will sort of pause at certain points along the game, specifically after I've played the game. If you don't want to see the spoilers, I will also use tags in the videos so you can choose to see exactly what it is that you want to see. But with that said, let's go ahead and get into setup. Now, to set up a game of Ziggurat, you're going to begin by opening the storybook, which is this book, big book right here, to the chapter that you are going to be playing. So for this video, as I mentioned, we will be playing chapter 1. And the first thing you're going to do for each chapter is open this top piece of the page. As you can see here, it says open before you play chapter 1. So opening up that, we see first, there is a bit of story here. It says chapter 1, the Ziggurat. You are heroes, at least you want to be, but it's kind of a dull village. The ancient Ziggurat in the village center just sits there. According to legend, a dragon once lived in it, but that was hundreds of years ago. Now it's a place where weeds grow. Except last week, all that changed. People have been seeing fire spirits on the Ziggurat's levels. The elders are asking for volunteers to investigate. Finally, it's your chance to be a hero. You hope to find a dragon. Or maybe you don't. So then it says right now, each player select a hero sticker and stick it on your hero card. Each player choose a hero name and write it on your card. This says the starting player for this game will be the youngest player. I'm going to be playing by myself, simulating a 3-player game for this video. So I'll sort of just randomly choose who is the first player, or which character will be the first player. And then to win the game, it says each hero must reach the summit of the Ziggurat. I'll explain what that means in just a minute. You'll also see there are some other things down here that will be used to sort of for things that happen while you're playing. Singed is going to be what happens if you sort of lose any given game by being touched by one of the fire spirits, which you'll see shortly. Well, hopefully not the singeing part, but the fire spirits themselves. And these honorific stickers are going to be sort of a fun kind of achievement system that you can earn as you're playing through the game. And you'll see here in this first chapter, we've unlocked the Swift, the Charred, the Brave, and the Savage. So the Swift will be the first hero to reach the summit. The Charred is the first hero to get singed. The Brave will be the first hero who ends a turn adjacent to a fire spirit. And finally, the Savage will be the first hero who drops a fire spirit into a pit. Now for this playthrough, I'm not going to be placing any of those stickers on any of the cards because after I record this first playthrough of this first chapter, I will be playing through the entire game with my son and potentially my daughter occasionally as well. So what that means is I don't want to mark up things or sticker things and so on until I get into my actual play of this game so that when I play with my kids, we can get a fresh play of that. And that also means right now the hero stickers, I'm going to set up my hero, but I'm not going to be placing stickers or writing names for any of the other heroes because my kids will be doing that themselves when they play with me. So taking a look at the characters, let me sort of hold them up closer to the screen. There are quite a variety of different characters, both sort of humanoid or demonic in this case, and then sort of anthropomorphic animals. I talked to my kids already, and I suspect they're going with the bear and the bunny, but we will see. I'm going to take this sort of girl over here, this hooded figure over here with this kind of unique face paint. I also like the sort of purplish color of that as well. That is going to be my character. So I'm going to start by taking this purple card, removing that sticker from the book, and you'll have to bear with me as I do this on camera. In fact, let's not. Then placing that here in the hero portrait area of my player board like that. Now we do need to come up with a name for this character. And I don't know why this is popping into my head, but the first thing that popped into my head was the name Key. So I'm going to call her Key. Why? I don't know, but that's the name that just popped into my head. So we're going to go with it. I am Key. Now for this game, I will then also be using the yellow and green player cards, but I'm not going to write names or put stickers on them because I will end up doing that later with my kids when we play for real. So let me go ahead and clear out this book and we'll set up our play of chapter 1. So to set up a game of Ziggurat, the first thing you need to do is build the Ziggurat. So you'll start first by taking out these 4 puzzle pieces and sort of piecing together the board. Now you'll notice that I picked purple, green, and yellow. That's because if I set up the board in this way, you will see that green, purple, and yellow are the 3 sort of village houses that are closest to me on screen. So I'll take those 3 player cards, setting those sort of here. Doesn't matter because we'll only have 1 card. Here, here, and here like that, so we remember. Now, I don't have characters for green and yellow, but I will need to have standees for them. So for this playthrough, I'm going to take the standees that most closely resemble those colors, which will be the bear, surprisingly enough, because that's probably who my son is playing with, and this tiger simply because it is a yellow color. And I'll start those there and there like that. And then for myself, now these are standees that normally would be standing up this way, but if I do that, you can't see what anything is, and that won't be a whole lot of fun for you to watch. So I'm gonna lay them all down. My purple girl goes there like that. And then from there, we need to build the ziggurat. And you'll notice that on one side of the board, there's kind of like an ivy pattern printed on the board. Each level of the ziggurat, which do come pre-built with these sort of ladders sticking out of them and these plastic slides stuck on them as well. But you'll notice that one side of this board does have that ivy printed as well. So when you're building, each of those legs will slot into the holes, locking that in place, and you'll see that the ivy is all on one side of the ziggurat. So I need to continue adding levels to the ziggurat. Whoops, skipped one. Making sure that that ivy side is always facing the same direction, like that. Next, we're going to spawn some fire tokens. There are 4 different color fire spirits in this game: blue, green, pink, and yellow. And I'm going to go ahead and set all of those tokens up here at the top. Let me flip them all so you can see what they are. But you'll notice that they are marked with letters and colors on the back. But we're going to spawn one of each on the location printed on the board. For example, here you see a green fire spirit. So I will place a green fire spirit token there. Blue down here. Pink over here. And then finally the yellow one over here on the far side like that. And then I need to shuffle up these cards. Whoops, I forgot one. Give those a good shuffle, which I already have done, but I'm doing it again just because. And each player will be given 1 card to start. And let me do that like that so I'm not off the screen. 1 there, and I'll set the rest of those right up there. And then finally at the table where I'm playing, it's not going to matter, but every time you start a chapter of this game, you're sort of supposed to introduce yourself as your character, giving everybody both your name and any honorifics you've earned up to that point, which in this case is not I am Key. I don't have any honorifics, just Key. And my other characters don't have names, but I'm introducing myself to these unnamed characters. Hi, I'm Key, no honorifics, just Key. And finally, I need to give the starting player or the current player token to the starting player, which will be, for me right now, key because that's who I am. I am the youngest player because I am the only player, but I will be passing this around to remember whose turn it is. And that's going to be important, and you'll see why in just a second, although less important while I'm playing. But now we are all set up for gameplay, so let's go ahead and get into our play. A game of Ziggurat, at least in Chapter 1, because that's all I've seen so far, plays out over an indeterminate number of rounds. And in each round, each player will get a turn. And realistically, it's not really rounds, it's sort of just an indeterminate number of turns, taking turn player by player by player. And on a player's turn, you're going to do whatever the card says. And each card will have two sections. The top card will tell us how to move our hero or other heroes. You'll see how that works in just a second. And the bottom section will tell us either spawning or moving a fire spirit of some kind, or multiple fire spirits of some kind. So we always move a hero first, then we move or spawn the fire hero, at which point we discard that card and draw up another card. And it's worth pointing out here that all of the cards are face up on the table and open information at all times. So it's very sort of worth it for the people at the table to sort of discuss amongst themselves what is going to happen on each turn, understanding what the next couple of turns are going to look like, or at least what's potentially going to happen on the next couple of turns. So why are we doing the things that we're doing? Well, when we are moving our heroes, we are doing everything we can to get to the top of the Ziggurat. And you saw in Chapter 1, our goal is to get all of our heroes to the top of the Ziggurat. And in order to do that, we need to move around the board using our move actions. Anytime we land at the bottom of one of these ladders, which unfortunately on camera is very flat, this is a very elevated Ziggurat moving up, 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 up. Anytime I land at the bottom of a ladder, just like you'd expect in something like Chutes and Ladders, you go up to the top of the ladder. And anytime you land at the top of one of these slides or chutes, you're going to slide down to the next level. So using these ladders, I'm hoping to slowly climb my way up to the top of the Ziggurat. Except that along the way, there are fire spirits and there are also these pit spaces. Anytime I would walk over a pit space or a ladder or a slide, I am going to completely ignore whatever that thing is. I'm allowed to pass over pits. I cannot land on a pit. Anytime a hero lands on a pit, they will fall to their death, and that instantly ends the game because everyone needs to survive in order to win the game. Likewise, the fire spirits will singe you and also immediately end the game if you touch them. But unlike the pit spaces, if I walk through a fire spirit that is the same as landing on that fire spirit, I will be singed and that will instantly trigger the end of the game. So I need to use my movements, avoiding pits, avoiding fire spirits, climbing ladders until we get everybody to the top of the Ziggurat. Now the second half of every turn is the fire spirit spawning, which just means placing out new fire spirits at the starting space, or moving. And when a fire spirit moves, it's going to move in the same way we do, which I'll show you in just a second, following the same things that we follow. If it stops at the bottom of a ladder, it will go up. If it stops at the top of a slide, it will go down. If a fire spirit goes into a pit, the fire spirit falls into the pit and is removed from the game from that point forward for that gameplay. Now there is one small difference between our movement and the fire spirit movement, and that is we, the characters, may never occupy the same space at the same time. If one of my characters will ever move into the space where another character already is, that character will then be pushed one space adjacent. I mean, I can choose to push them in either direction from where they are standing. The fire spirits, however, can all occupy the same space if need be. There can be as many fire spirits as need be in a single space. They will simply stack on top of each other in that space. And finally, when moving both our characters or our heroes and the fire spirits, we make all decisions about which direction they move, but they will always continue moving in that direction until they've moved exactly the number of spaces shown on the card being activated. So that's basically all there is to this first game of Ziggurat. So let's go ahead and get into gameplay. But before I do that, I want to look at the 3 cards we have, knowing that we're going clockwise around the table. So I'm going to start with myself, and then green, and then yellow. And I am going to see what I've got. Mine says I get to choose to move my hero 1 or 2 spaces. The next card says move each hero 2 spaces. Now, when the card says move each hero, whoever's character that is that's activating the card gets to choose the order that those people move, but they sort of have to ask permission before moving somebody, and they have to consult with that person to determine or decide where that hero will be moving. So we've got move my hero 1 or 2, move each hero 2, and then move my hero, meaning yellow hero 1. I say spawn a new green fire spirit up there. Yellow says move a yellow fire spirit 2 spaces. And then green, the yellow guy over here says move each green, so we're going to have 2 by that point, 1 space. So right now we're not in any kind of danger. We need to sort of work our way to get closer and closer to a ladder. I see that moving 2 to the left will move me up. So I'm going to move my hero 2 spaces, 1, 2. And I am at the bottom of the ladder, so I will climb up that ladder like that. Then it says spawn a new green fire spirit. So we're going to put 1 green fire spirit there like that. And that is the end of their turn. That card goes away. We draw a new one that says move each hero 2, move a pink fire spirit 2. All right, so next, the bear is up, move each hero 2. I don't see any blue fire spirits moving. So being adjacent to this blue here is not dangerous because I know here is safe, and by here I will move her again, so I'm not worried. Which means she can move 1, 2 to go up like that. And at this point, if I were placing stickers on the cards in display, I would now be getting the Brave added to my card because I am the first hero to end a turn adjacent to a fire spirit. But again, I'm not placing stickers for this playthrough, simply so that I can do later on. So she's moved. Sorry, this should have passed to him. She moved. These 2 still need to move. And I see that if he goes 1, 2, he also goes up to there. And yellow is moving twice. But yellow is still up several levels, so that's okay. He can move 1, 2 this way and go up there like that. Then move each yellow, there's only 1 right now, 2 spaces, which means 1, 2, they fall into the pit. Yay, no more yellow spirits. That also again means should we be playing with stickers, that our bear just became the savage because they were the first hero to drop a fire spirit into a pit. But that's the end of their turn. Drawing a new card. Move each hero 1, move a green fire spirit 1. Passing the red over there. All right, so they're moving 1 space alone. If they go that way, they fall into a pit, so they have to be moving to here. Like that. Then move each green fire spirit once. Let's keep them away from ladders. They will both move over here like that. Means they go down 1 row, and I don't know if that was a good idea. Actually, you know what? No. Let's split them up. I'll put 1 up top and 1 down there, like that. They're done. Next card comes out. Move your hero 2, move each blue 2 spaces. Now is when I need to be scared because they are there. But I can always move them away from me. And I think I just lost the game. Which is unfortunate. But that's okay, because now you can see how a loss works. Because it says I need to move each hero 2 spaces. And I can't go down ladders. Which means I am trapped between a spirit and a hole. And I didn't pay attention real well. Yeah, that was a big mistake. Okay, well, then I get to show you what happens when you lose. And what happens when you lose is that you basically just reset and try again. So we're gonna slide that green guy back here. This green guy comes off. All of my characters go back home. The only other thing that's happened is yellow is hiding inside there because they fell in the pit. So they come back out to there. We reset. All of the cards go away. And let's see if we can do a little bit better this time, guys. While I'm reshuffling, I just want to mention that she would have either fell in a pit or been singed. If I was singed, if I chose to go that way and get singed, she would have placed a singed marker on this sort of portrait here, and I also would have gotten that honorific for having been singed. So let's do that again, shall we? All right, blue's moving a lot this time. I'm starting here, move each hero 2. This level, the green level, is perfectly safe. So she's gonna move to here. Tiger gonna go 1, 2 to there. And bear will go 1, 2 to here like that. And it says move each green 2 spaces. I'll send green that way. 1, 2 around the corner like that. Done. Now, I do need to slow down and think about things a little bit harder because guess what? I was rushing a bit the first round. All right, so moving back to bear. Move each hero 1 space. And then blue is going to move away. All right, then I am moving her to the corner because I can see that on her turn she'll move 3, 1, 2, 3. She can go up that ladder. And by then, no, that's just as dangerous as before. We'll figure that out in a minute. He's moving that way 1 space. And Tiger can't go 1 space that way because he'll fall into a pit. So he's going that way 1 space. And blue moves once. Let's move blue that way towards the pit. Potentially blue gets destroyed at some point. Drawing again. Wow, each green fire spirit moves 3 spaces. Their hero moves 3 spaces. All right, back to Tiger. Move 2 or 3 and spawn a new blue spirit. I'm okay with that. He's gonna move 1, 2 and go up to that spot there. Spawn a new blue spirit like that. All right, pink is running away. If I can send him up here, send pink away there, he can get up this ladder potentially. Now, back to key. Key is moving 3 spaces. If I go up this ladder, I'm dead. So key is going to go 1, 2, 3 and go up that ladder right there instead. And then each pink fire spirit moves 3 spaces. So I could go 1, 2, 3 to here, which blocks that ladder from her. I don't like it. So I will send it 1, 2, 3 in that direction like that. Again, move any hero 2, move any fire spirit 2. That could be the end of blue, but let's see what happens here. Move your hero 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3 over the hole, 1, 2, 3 around the corner. Let's split up a little bit. 1, 2, 3. Again, I can pass over pits as long as I don't land on them. Move each green 3 spaces. I'm going to try and get green to go down because there are no pits on pink. And I don't want them there. So 1, 2, 3, green goes down that slide like that. Next, spawning new yellows. I haven't been passing this. I guess I should. Tiger, move each hero 1 space. Okay, well, Tiger can go here and go upstairs. Then she can also go here and go upstairs. And Bear either falls into a hole or goes there. So they're going to go right there. So they don't fall in. And it says move a pink spirit once. Yeah, why not? Let's send pink downstairs too. Like that. Flipping again. Move a green 3. Move a yellow. No, spawn a yellow.
So we're moving green 3 spaces. But if I can kill a green, then that won't happen. And I think that's what's going to happen right now. Move any hero 2 spaces. Tiger goes 1, 2, and goes upstairs. That's awesome. Then move any fire spirit 2. I'm going to take that green one. And they're going to go 1, 2 right into that hole. And yellow 3. All right, coming back to bear. Move your hero 2 or 3. Spawn yellow, move yellow. Sure. Oh, that's fine, that's better. Okay. Moving 3, 1, 2, 3 goes up that ladder like that. Spawn a new yellow fire spirit. So there are 2 fire spirits yellow on the board now. Move any hero 2, move any fire spirit 2. Okay. Passing over to Tiger. Move each hero 3. Well, Tiger goes 1, 2, 3, and guess what? Tiger is now king of the hill at the top of the Ziggurat, which means on future turns, if Tiger needs to move themselves, means when they play a card that says move your hero, you can instead, you will instead move someone else's hero that amount. So Tiger's done his 3. I see that there are no bad guys up here for me that I'm needing to be afraid of. And I don't see anything coming up anytime soon. And she's moving 3 and 3, that doesn't help. But then 2. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, no. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 doesn't work either. So it's not going to matter. Bear is either going right into the blue guys or running away. So let's do that for Bear. 1, 2, 3, running away. He's over here. And Key, I'm afraid of that green fire spirit. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 over this way, just to keep her away from potential spawning. Then it says move a green fire spirit 3. There aren't any because we just sent it into the pit. Yay. All right, 1 or 2 spaces, spawn a pink fire spirit. Not great, because that's sort of right next to her. Which means I'm going to send her running. Move each hero 3. 1, 2, 3, she's over here again. Like that. He doesn't move, and the other guy gets to move. 1, 2, 3, and climb that ladder right there. Good to me. And then move a yellow spirit 3. Doesn't really matter because we're all above that level, so 1, 2, 3 like that. Good. Move your hero 1 or 2, spawn a new blue. All right, whoops, passing to Bear. Move any hero 2 spaces. Oh, that's great. There's nobody there. 1, 2, he goes upstairs like that. Then move any fire spirit 2. Means I could kill this blue, I could kill this yellow, I could kill this pink. It doesn't really matter right now. Pink is spawning here soon, but that doesn't matter. Yeah, let's kill pink. 1, 2, pink goes in there, like that. Drawing a new card. Move your hero 3, move each blue fire spirit 3. All right, then Tiger's turn. Move your hero 1 or 2. My hero is at the top, means I can choose to move anyone. So I will move her, and she goes up 1. Whoops. 1 like that. No. I changed my mind. I'm moving Bear 1 space because he goes up and he is on top of the Ziggurat like that. Spawn a new pink fire spirit there. Drawing again. Move your hero 1 or 2, and see, this is why I did what I just did, because now 1 goes here and up. She's up at the top level, spawning a new blue fire spirit down here. Drawing another card. Sorry, I didn't mention it, but Tiger, when they got to the top, would have gotten the honorific for climbing to the top fastest. Key just took her turn. It is now the bear's turn. The bear is not playing because the bear is at the top, but it does say move your hero 3, which means she can move 1, 2, 3, climbing the ladder, and now all of our heroes are at the top of the ziggurat. So with that, we did win the game. So at the end of the game, we are going to open the ziggurat, take everything out of the ziggurat, discard all of our cards, and then go into the book. So let me go ahead and discard the cards. I'll clear everything off the screen. Again, remembering that I would remove this and take out that green and pink that we pushed in there last time. Sliding that off the screen. Sliding everything off the screen. And then we bring back out our storybook. Now, this is again where you're going to see some spoilers. If you don't want to see anything more, I completely understand. And I'm pausing here so that you can jump ahead to check out components, check out my final thoughts on the game. But let's go ahead and see what happens at the end of chapter 1. Here it says open after you've won chapter 1, which I just did. So I'm going to open up this, and you'll see this one's a little harder to open because I'd already opened that one before. It is sort of like a punch board. And I already see something really cool coming out of here. Because remember the story said, you hope to find a dragon? Well, guess what we just found? There is our dragon. It says, and now you peer into the top of the ziggurat. In the darkness, a large creature moves, light reflecting off its scales. Yep, you've got a dragon. Right now, assemble the dragon figure, make dragon noises with it. You'll learn more about the dragon in chapter 2. So let me go ahead and assemble the dragon so you can see what it looks like. And here you go. It is a standee with a little tail on it, but you'll notice that there are some slits in there. I don't know what they do yet, but that's pretty interesting. And now what I'm going to say here is, I know some of you have talked to me in the past that you'd like to see a little bit more spoiler in these kinds of games. So I'm going to go ahead and turn to the next page. Open the top part of chapter 2 just to give you an idea of what's coming in chapter 2. I'm not going to play chapter 2. I just want to show you an idea of how the game is going to sort of change up as you play, so you can get an idea of what that is, if that's something you're interested in seeing. Again, pausing for a second here so that you have a chance to skip ahead using the timestamps down below if you don't want to see any more spoiler stuff. But here we go, chapter 2, open before playing chapter 2. So opening carefully so I don't rip anything on camera. Ooh, and we got some more tokens. We got some stickers here. Chapter 2, a scouting expedition. It says, a real dragon in the ziggurat. Add Rule A to the rulebook and follow it. Rule A says, place the dragon into the slots of the bottom board in the heart of the ziggurat. Now, pulling things back onto screen just for a minute before I explain, but you'll see there is a slit down there, and the dragon fits very nicely into that slit, or does it? I see. I'm supposed to place the dragon through that slit, I believe. So these go around the dragon, but that doesn't quite work that way. Yeah, that seems odd. The standee for the dragon doesn't quite fit, and I may be missing something on camera. I'm not going to fiddle with it, but that seems odd that the dragon doesn't quite fit underneath that slit. But anyway, the dragon goes in there like that. Again, not quite fitting, so maybe I'm doing it improperly. The dragon should potentially slide up through the bottom of the board, but I've played with that enough on screen, so let me slide that off and I'll figure that out later. Then it says, the village leaders are nervous. Actually, terrified is a better word. They have been frantically looking through old books trying to figure out what to do. A village leader gives you an old, smelly map. The village used to give offerings to the dragon to get it to go away. We know what they offered, and we know where to find them. See? Punch out the offering tokens, which is what you see here, and I'll do that later. It says stick the offering tokens to the 8 spaces on the ziggurat. So you will see on the Ziggurat, there are some spaces that have this sort of gold symbol on them. These offering tokens will be placed onto those locations. And then it says add rule E to the rulebook and follow it. Rule E is exactly what that said. Put the offering tokens onto their matching spaces. These are objects the heroes can pick up. Just walk around the Ziggurat. If you see an offering, pick it up. Also, we don't think the fire spirits will harm the offerings. Add rule N to the rulebook and read it. So rule N now says, here, if a hero ends their move on an object, they may pick it up and put it on their hero card. Heroes can carry as many objects as they like. Then here it says an object, nothing happens. This is what happens when the fire spirit lands there. It says if a fire spirit lands on an object, nothing happens. Leave the fire spirit there. You must move the fire spirit off the item before you can pick it up unless you have some other special ability, which is interesting because that means abilities are coming later, I guess. Once you have an offering, carry it to the top and throw it in. Simple, right? Add rule Q to the rulebook and read it. So here it says make an offering. If your hero reaches the summit, drop all of their offerings into the Ziggurat. If your hero doesn't have an offering, everyone loses. So here's a new lose condition. We need to make sure to pick up these objects, at least one per person, on the way to the top, or we cannot win that chapter. Now get up there. Easy for them to say. So again, the starting player here is the player who will next have a birthday. This is fun that the starting player changes every time. Then it says to win the game, each hero must make an offering while on the summit. In a two-player game, each hero must make 2 offerings. It's worth pointing out here, and I should do that earlier, so I will in subtitles as well, but when you're playing 2-player, some of the cards as well that you'll be playing with do have this symbol here that shows they are not used in a 2-player game. So that's the only other change so far that happens in 2-player. We've got some new pictures here of the different stickers. Oh, I see. These stickers are going onto the spaces of the Ziggurat, and then each of the matching tokens will be placed on that sticker every time we set up the game. Got it. That makes a lot more sense. Then we've got some honorifics here. The first hero to collect an offering is the finder of secrets. First hero to drop an offering into the Ziggurat is the dropper of gifts. The first hero to move over a pit is the leaper of pits. And the first hero to slide down a level is the yeller of nope. And that is all I'm going to show you for this game. I'm going to tuck everything back in so that when I play with my kids again, nothing is spoiled yet. And that includes the dragon. But I will pause there. I don't really want to talk too much about the components except what you've seen so far. I love how the Ziggurat comes pre-assembled, how everything fits very nicely, sort of slotted together and holds together really nicely. I love the visual design of this game. The characters all look really, really cool. Everybody has a sort of very unique personality. The fire spirits look threatening, but also somewhat cute at the same time. The only complaint, I think it's a complaint, I'm still not sure, is that the dragon doesn't quite fit in the slot at the bottom of the board. And let me reread that because it seems odd. Place the dragon into the slots on the bottom board. It does say that, but it doesn't quite fit. So I think there might be a problem there with the size of the punch board. But again, maybe I'm doing something wrong. I will figure that out later. Otherwise, as far as the insert goes, as with other games from Matt Leacock lately, this game is very much environmentally friendly. There was no shrink wrap on here, just stickers. If you don't like the stickers, I understand. I don't love them either. They don't peel real well without damaging the box often, although these look like they might. I didn't yet. I just cut them so that I could get them off. All of the inserts are made out of that sort of pressed paper insert material, but the cool thing about that is that everything fits just like it would be a plastic insert. There is one more component here that I want to show you while I'm here, and that is this hidden lore book or hidden lore packet that says if you ever fail the same chapter twice or lose the same chapter twice, there's a nice surprise in here as well. So we'll see what that is potentially eventually. If even if we don't lose twice, I will definitely take a look to see what that is. You'll see the cards do slide in here. I'm assuming the dragon will fit none of these specific slots, but could fit right in there. For example, there is space. Same thing for all of the characters. There's no sort of specific cutout so far as I can see for the characters, although, no, that's just a slot to pick things up. But actually there is a spot on this other little piece that I'll show you in a minute that will hold the characters. So I guess they can all go in there. But you'll see that the Ziggurat itself fits into all of these cuts in the board and gets held really, really, really well. Everything locks in place because everything also has a space. You'll see, for example, here, this little cutout where the slides fit into things. And what that means, again, is that everything is held in place very, very well inside the box. Now, the board pieces do sort of unassemble and get placed in there as the big one goes over top, because by doing that, it sort of holds them in place. And then this little thing slots in here. And as I said, all the player characters seem to fit in there very nicely. And the storybook itself slots in there somehow. At least it used to. Maybe it's this way. That's strange. There we go. Fits in perfectly like that. That goes in there like that. I guess all the fire spirits can go into the other well there, but realistically everything is held very nicely in this box. No plastic whatsoever used in here. Big fan of that. That's basically all I have to say about the components and insert. Meet me back up top and I'll let you know what I think about the game itself.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. I do have to apologize for that one spot where I messed up and the bear should have gone down that chute, but realistically looking at things, it probably would have just extended the gameplay by a couple more turns, and it really probably wouldn't have changed the ending of the game in any way, and I do think that the play still represents the way that the game plays. I just wanted to say that up front. Also, I want to point out in the sort of component section at the end of the previous part of this video, I did praise the insert both for being not made out of plastic, but also for having sort of different cutout spots that hold the Ziggurat in place very well and sort of spaces for the cards and so on to go into. I just do want to point out that my opinion on that insert has changed quite a bit now, having finished the game, because as I played through the campaign and unlocked new tokens and unlocked new cards, very quickly is sort of ran out of locations for things to go. I did have to get rid of that sort of narrow piece that I said that the standees could slot it into and so on. It became less and less useful as I played through the campaign, so I just wanted to point out that my opinions on the insert did change, though I do still applaud it for not being a normal vacuum form plastic kind of insert. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and get into my thoughts on the game, but before I tell you what I think as a stingy, grumpy old man, not that I'll be grumpy about this game too much, but my nephew Wyatt actually played the intro game of this with me at PAX Unplugged last year and chose this as his one game that he was buying from the convention. So he has now played through the entire campaign with his family. I've played through the entire campaign with my son. So let's check in with Wyatt and see what he thought about the game first, and then we can come back and hear what I felt as well. Hey Wyatt, how are you?
I'm good.
So today we're going to talk about a game called Ziggurat, yeah?
Yes, it's very good.
Oh, already with the review. It's very good. Good, okay. Tell me more about what you liked about Ziggurat. So anyway, before we do that, tell us a little bit about what Ziggurat is. What kind of a game is Ziggurat?
It's kind of like a story game that like adds rules and it gets harder as you go.
Okay, so let's talk about the very first game. It may be hard to remember back there, but let's talk about the sort of the main piece of the game. What are you doing in the game? How are you playing the game?
Well, first there's a Ziggurat, a tower, and you're trying to get. Well, this is like I'm trying to not spoil everything, but you're trying to get to the top. And there's these bad guys, and if they land on you, or you land on them, or you pass through them, you're out. And if you lose, the rest of the team lose.
Right. So it's a cooperative game. We're working together with a team to get to the top of the Ziggurat. How? How do you move around? How do you get to where you need to go?
See, there are cards. There's like three main types of cards, like you move, which is just to use any people. So you can if you get the card, your friend might, a different person might move if you choose them, or you can move, but that's like boring. No, let's do that. Then there's every person, which is like everyone moves.
Right.
you can get up a level by going up ladders.
So, oh yeah, that's right. You can go up ladders, and how do you always go up?
No, there's these slides and you go down.
Right. So sometimes you can't go up. Sometimes you have to drop back down depending on where you go with these
Yes.
cards, right? So you're playing these cards and you get to choose which direction you're moving.
Yes.
But you also mentioned something about bad guys that if you touch them, you're going to be out, right?
Yeah.
Do those bad guys just sort of stand in one place and you can walk around them?
No. Each card, it might be like super good. Oh my god, look, I got every person move 4. That's so good. Especially because my friend Steven is so close and is 4 away. But you have to spawn a new bad guy.
Okay.
Or move each bad guy 3.
So where do the spawning bad guys and moving bad guys, where does that come from?
Okay.
How does that happen? Where does that instruction come from?
It comes from the cards.
Oh,
like-
okay.
So, like, if you pull out a card, the top is, like, move your character or whatever. And then the bottom's, like, move the bad guy.
I see. Okay, so the cards are good things and bad things. They're moving you, but
Yes.
also doing something for the bad team as well.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, so that's sort of the main game is you're playing cards to move your characters around on the Ziggurat, which is sort of a multi-level pyramid kind of tower, right?
Yeah.
And you're also trying to avoid these fire monsters that are also moving around on the board. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And then you're trying to get to the top. That's sort of the main first game.
Yes, like the main first game.
Okay, so we're not going to spoil any specific stuff. But this game plays out over, I think, 6 games? I don't remember. Was
Yeah,
it 5 or
6
6?
chapters.
Was it 6
Six,
chapters?
six.
And each chapter has a little bit of story and something that happens.
Yes.
But is each chapter the same kind of game?
No.
No. Okay, tell us more. What do you mean by no?
Okay, how can I put this in a way that no one, that I'm not spoiling the
Be as careful as you can, but if you say something wrong, I can bleep it out. Go ahead.
Okay, let's go. I feel like it was like the fifth chapter. The bad guys turn out. No, I can't spoil that.
Yeah, you don't want to spoil that far ahead. But just tell us broadly.
gets
So
harder.
we turn the page and a new chapter starts. What kinds of things are going to change or be added to the game?
I think it was the second or third chapter. I think it's the second. You get healing potions.
That's too much. That's too much.
Okay.
But that's okay.
Why do I keep spoiling?
You don't have to. Well, that's okay. Well, it will have been bleeped out. But focus less on the specific, but what kinds of things. So there's new rules that get added,
Yes,
right?
yes, new rules.
So do these rules change the way the game plays, or do they just add new things to the game, or how does that generally work?
Sometimes the rules could be good things, like things that can help you. Sometimes they can be bad things.
Oh, that's right. So there are some things that make the game more difficult and more
Yes.
dangerous to play through, right?
Yes.
So the things that are getting added, are they just game stuff, or is there also story stuff that's being added?
Yeah, story stuff. And you're like building the story tower.
Right, okay.
The story ziggurat. I should
Right,
say.
right, right. So as you go through, you're adding new rules, you're changing things. Some of the way the cards work changes, right?
Yes.
Some of the way the Ziggurat works changes.
Yes.
Some of the way the enemies works changes.
Some of the way some of the items that you get.
Oh,
change.
okay. Well, that's a big change, and that's a spoiler I'm okay to put in there. Is that you get items that give you special abilities to let
Because
you
that's
do
like
special
too
things.
important to leave out.
Right, right. So we're not going to say what those items do, but you get items that let you do things differently and change things differently, right?
Might make it easier, might make it harder.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. So you've got items that are changing things up in some way. Let's talk more about the story. At the beginning of the game, you've created a character, right? So talk a little bit more about your characters. How does that work?
Yes.
Do you remember?
For my character, I was a fox.
Uh-huh.
The fox character, because I had to be.
Because you love foxes.
Yes, I do. Very much. So your character first, like you make a name. Like there's like these stickers that you can.
Okay,
put
let's talk
on.
about those stickers. That's what I want to know more about. So you got a card with your. You sort of pick a character. Is that the sticker you're talking about? A picture for your character?
Yes.
Okay, so start with that.
The picture of the character. It's just basically like just like a thing that's like its head and then them doing like their main pose. Mine's like this, looking like a backpack. It's not that special. It only like shows like the face.
Well, yeah, but it tells you who you are and you give it a
Yes.
name, right?
Yes.
But then there are some other stickers in the game. Do you remember what some of those other
Like
stickers are?
Hero-rifics.
Say that again. Hero what?
Hero-rifics.
Hero-rifics? Is that what they were called?
Yes, they're
Oh,
actually
cool.
called Hero-rifics.
Great. I'm glad that you remember the terminology. So what are these hero-rifics? What does that mean?
They're basically like the fire pusher pushes the most fires
Right.
into
so
holes. Or
so
whatever.
they're giving you sort of like achievements that you can
Yes.
unlock, right? Whoever does something
like
first.
the first ever to reach the top.
Uh-huh.
Or like
But they're not always good things, right? There's some that are like the first person who gets hurt by the fire, or
Yes.
negative things too. But it's so they're kind of like achievements, or they're almost like a journal of your story, right?
Yes.
So by the end of the game, you've got all of these stickers on your character, and you can kind of describe your character.
and also
as,
on the very, very bottom there's our inventory. Where I remember I was talking about those items that's
Oh,
where
yeah.
you hold said items.
Yeah, that's right. There is an inventory. So you kind of know that there are items coming from the beginning because the inventory is there and you don't know what it is at the beginning of the game, I think, right?
No, you
Right.
don't get items in the beginning.
Right, exactly. But there was an inventory at the beginning,
Yes.
right? Yeah, so there's a
There's
little bit of a
always an
hint to come.
inventory. It was here from the dawn of time.
So the stickers are kind of cool. What did you think about that? Was that fun to have those stickers in there?
Yeah, it was cool. I think I had the most hero-rifics, and that was a hero-rific.
Oh,
I had
was
the
it?
most hero-rifics.
So let's talk about those because I was talking to a friend of mine and they were saying that when they were playing with their family, sometimes the kids were fighting over who was going to get the stickers. Did you find that to be a problem?
Very. While we were doing it, and my brother was like, "Why does he get the most hero-rifics?"
But was that a bad thing or was that a fun competition to have while you were playing the game?
It wasn't really a competition. At like the end of like the story, we just like, okay, who got the most points or whatever. There's no points in the game, but let's say they are. Oh, I did. Here you go. And like, who got the most burn? Fun fact, we didn't get burned till the 5th chapter.
Wow. Yeah, I think
We
got.
kept our streak for like so long, and then we died.
Oh, that's
and then
great.
We
I think
got
we
restarted.
did the other. I think we got burned in the very first chapter and then didn't again for a long time. But it's interesting, right? So the burning again is one of the ways that you lose the game, and yeah, it's interesting. Sometimes it happens a lot.
Or
and
just
sometimes it
falling in
doesn't.
holes.
Right. Right.
You're
Oh, we
supposed
didn't
to
talk
get-
about that. Right.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about
So
the
on the
holes.
Ziggurat, there are some holes, right? So it's
Yeah,
not just that
holes.
you're avoiding the bad guys; you're avoiding the holes too, right?
But you're trying to get the bad guys into the holes.
Oh, that's right. You are
For-
right. To
for-
avoid them from hitting you, they go away if they fall into the holes of the Ziggurat. That's part of
Yes.
the core, the sort of main
Yes.
game, right?
That's how you get rid of
Well,
bad
let's talk
guys.
about the holes too, because you said the bad guys can hurt you and the holes can hurt you. But you said that if you walk through the bad guys, it's going to hurt you. What about the holes? Can you walk through the holes?
Yes.
Right, so you can sort of jump over the holes as you're going. You just can't land on them. So it gives you sort of two things you're trying to avoid as you're trying to get to these ladders and climb up to the top.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about how the game works. Let's talk about how the game feels. Did you enjoy the game?
Yes, very much.
Okay, tell us
It was
what you
like
enjoyed.
very fun. I liked like the story part.
Okay.
I'm not like kind of like I don't know if there's like kind of like the main like story game is like Dungeons and Dragons, but like that is very confusing. So I'm great they came out with a game that has like the exact same good amount of story, but it's like so easy.
Oh, so the game
Or
is
a
simple
bit.
to play. Right, not easy to win, but easy to play, right? It's simple to play. So the story was a good story? You enjoyed the
Yes,
story?
I like the story. I like. Is this a spoiler? No, I'm not gonna put that. Yeah, it was real.
So there were good sort of twists in the story, maybe?
Yes,
Okay.
like the biggest of all was in chapter 5, which I'm not telling you.
Okay. Of course.
I've learned my lesson.
Of course. But so the story was fun. Tell me this, would the game be fun without the story, or is the story an important part of the game?
The story is like the main part of the game.
Okay.
Besides, like, actually, is it? Well, it's a very important part of the
Sure.
game, and I don't think the game would be the same without the story.
Okay, well that's good to hear, because that means then that the story is important. It's not just an extra piece of the game, right?
Yes.
So tell us this then, does the story connect into the way that the game plays?
Yes, very much.
Okay.
Yeah, very much actually. Like the bad guy gets mentioned in the story.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And the game, the way that the game plays changes with the story too, right?
Yeah.
So those changes that happen every chapter aren't just random, they're connected to the story that's happening,
Yeah.
right? And the story is fun, you said. How about the gameplay itself? Was it fun to play
Yes,
the
it
game?
was pretty fun and very like tinkering.
In what way?
It was so hard in chapter 5. Chapter 5 has to be like the hardest chapter.
But what do you mean by tinkering? What is this tinkering idea?
Like, tinkering, like it can like get hard like many times. We have like those things of like, oh my god.
So there's a lot of sort of thinking to happen during the gameplay. Do you think so? Anyway, tell me about what is exciting, what is interesting about the way the game plays.
Like the exciting part is like the adrenaline that you get.
But what kind of decisions do you have to make? What makes the decisions fun in the game?
So like you can like only move like straight line.
Right.
So like you have an option. If you get a move 4 card, you can go this way, but oh, there's a fire spirit there. I can't go through. Let me go this way. It's perfect. And there's a ladder.
Good, so the decision's right. So you have to pay attention to both directions you can go. And you said some of the cards let you move other people too.
Yes.
So then you have to decide who to move and where to move them, right?
Yeah.
So was it always, let me figure out how to ask this. Was it always that you were sort of moving towards the top, or sometimes do you have to come down on purpose so that you can avoid things to go back up again later?
Sometimes you have to come down.
How come? Explain why.
Like there's like this chapter where you get a second chance.
Oh, but that's a different thing. We'll beat that one too. But even in the main game, if you're sort of surrounded by things, what is one way to get out of that surrounding?
Just go down.
Right. If you slide down and run around and come up a different path, right?
Yeah.
But you're right. There are a lot of things in the future chapters that sort of change the way things work, that make you think more about how you're getting to the place you're getting to, right? So you would definitely recommend that people try this game?
Yes, very much.
Without spoiling anything, at the end of the game, I just want you to tell us, does the game end when you get to the end? Is it game over and you can never play the game again?
No.
Because sometimes the story games, when you get to the end, the game just ends and that's the end of the story. But how about for this game? Can you play it again? Yeah, you could definitely play it again, right? You could play different chapters again, or you could start the whole story over and play it again from the beginning, right? So would you play this game again now that you've played through the story, or are you finished with it?
I would say I might play it again, but normally I'm not like play board games again unless they're like really fun.
Well, is this really fun?
Yes.
Well, there you go.
I might play it again. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, thank you, Wyatt. I'm glad you enjoyed the game. Is there anything else you want to say before we go?
Whatever you do, if you lose chapter 5, that is not my problem.
Thanks, Wyatt. See you next time.
Subscribe.
Thanks, Wyatt. That was awesome. You did a great job explaining the game and telling us how you felt about it. And I gotta say, I definitely feel pretty much the same way that Wyatt does. I really, really enjoyed this experience. Now, going into this, I'm already a big fan of Matt Leacock. I'm already a big fan of Rob Daviau. I've played quite a few legacy games. So when I heard that there was a sort of child/family weight legacy game, cooperative game, that I could sort of have a pandemic legacy style experience with my younger children, I was very, very excited. I want to come out first before I talk about how I feel about the game and just talk a little bit about the age range on this. My nephew Wyatt that you just heard from is just about to turn 10, but I did play through this game with my 5-year-old son, who is a little bit more advanced with board games than other children might be because we do play so many games, but he is still only 5 years old, and actually occasionally my 3-year-old daughter also joined in with us. So looking at the idea of a sort of family weight, children's weight game, the box is marked at 8+, but I did play through this with a 5-year-old who for the most part did all of his own decision making and played through fairly successfully in this game. Now, clearly my 3-year-old daughter didn't make her own decisions, but the way that the game is structured, because it is a cooperative game and because all of the cards are sort of out on the table and everyone can sort of discuss and make decisions together, she was still able to play the game and enjoy her time with the game, sort of making decisions through discussions with us at the table to figure out sort of what a good move was and what kinds of things she would be better off doing. And if she made a weird choice or a weird decision, we could sort of have a discussion at the table about why that wasn't necessarily a good thing. And she still had a whole lot of fun. So she played through maybe 1/3 of the games that we playing through, but my 5-year-old son played through the entire experience, and just like Wyatt, had a blast doing it, kept asking to play again and again and again, and I'm sure that he'll be happy again to get back into it, even having finished the campaign already. So let's talk about the game. At its core, this is a pretty unique game as far as games that I've played of this weight. It's basically an efficiency puzzle of movement. So it's snakes and ladders, or chutes and ladders, core concept, moving up and down along this path, which in this case is 3D, which makes it even more fun, but it doesn't really change the way the game plays, except sort of giving you more options to where you can move. But the whole thing is an efficiency puzzle using the movement that you've been given to move your character around on the board, trying to go up to the top of this ziggurat while avoiding the fires that are also moving around on the board trying to get you, and also avoiding the pits that you can fall into, having the ability to move past pits but not being able to move past the fire spirits, and trying sort of to figure out how to move, because remember, as Wyatt said, on a turn you can only move in one direction. How far you're moving is based on the card, and then which direction you choose to move is your choice. But once you've chosen that direction, the entire movement must be made, and it must be all made in the direction it's moving. So you saw in that first sort of failed play that I showed in my playthrough, there's very likely going to be times where you find yourself stuck between two locations or two things that you can't deal with because one way will kill you and the other way will kill you as well. So you really do have to pay attention to not just the current turn tactically, but also several turns ahead more strategically, trying to make sure you don't sort of back yourself into a corner where a decision will automatically eliminate you from the game. And this idea of an efficiency puzzle of movement, trying to get around things, and you sort of heard this through my discussions with Wyatt, but there are times when you have to go up ladders and then intentionally slide down those chutes or those slides just so that you can sort of come at things from a different angle, going around to a different side of the ziggurat, for example, and coming up, or just moving out of the way to let the fire spirits do what they do before coming back up again. And this core concept is very interesting. And that's a good thing because this core concept is the gameplay for the entire 6-chapter campaign. Now I say that, but that's not necessarily completely true. Things are definitely changing, things are definitely getting more difficult or at least more complex as you play through. I don't want to spoil too much, but I do kind of want to give you an idea of the kinds of things you're going to encounter. There are definitely going to be items, which you should know because there's a sort of item area at the bottom of your player card. There are items you can get to sort of give you special abilities and give you different ways to interact with the world. There are then later more items or a sort of different twist on items that come out. If you did watch my playthrough, you will have seen the introduction in Chapter 2. I want to sort of broadly describe it now, and that is sort of an additional level to this movement puzzle that requires you to do things on your way to the top of the ziggurat. That's all I want to say. If you want a little bit more spoiled, go ahead and go back to the end of my playthrough. But in the second chapter, the first thing adds sort of an extra thing that you need to accomplish on your way to the top of the ziggurat. And then items are going to start getting added in. But then also as you play, the movement puzzle itself starts changing. Things change that sort of force you to think about this movement puzzle in different ways, adding extra wrinkles to the way that you can move or things that you have to consider while you're moving. So while the core mechanism is the same all the way through, things are sort of being pushed and pulled as you continue through, giving you extra sort of abilities and skills, and then taking them away by making the puzzle get more complicated, and then giving you a little bit more to deal with those puzzles, and then again making that puzzle more complicated. So you've got this sort of leveling of cool new things you can do, but also cool new puzzles that you're presented with as you're playing, and I really enjoyed the way that this unfolded. And as Wyatt said in his review as well, the story really does tie into the mechanisms. The things that are being unveiled in the story, while there's not a whole lot, it's just a couple paragraphs at the start and a small paragraph at the end of each chapter, but it's enough that it gives the game a thematic flair of what you are doing, And it also introduces the mechanisms in a way that makes sense, that aren't just here's more real rules, here's more complexity, which is important in a family weight sort of child-focused kind of game. And I really enjoy the way that this was presented. I love the way that you see a little bit at the start of the game and then you get a little bit at the end of the game, sort of twisting and changing. Not spoiling anything, but Wyatt kind of almost did a couple times. Chapter 5 really changes things up, really flips the script on you, and it was a big, nice surprise for both myself and my kids, and clearly Wyatt as well, that, whoa, that's not what I was expecting to happen. And it really does make for a really cool finale chapter in Chapter 6 as well. I've been really, really enjoying it. The difficulty level as well, there's a bunch of things that are being added, and it does sort of get harder, easier, back and forth a little bit, and everything is kind of balanced as far as the difficulty goes. This is a 6-chapter campaign. We played, myself and my son, and occasionally my daughter, played the 6 chapters in 9 games. We lost 3 times, and I think that was in Chapter 1, Chapter 3, and Chapter 6 were the 3 chapters that we lost our first time trying. When you do lose, you just reset and try that chapter again, so there's no kind of penalty for losing. However, if you do lose enough times, I showed you in the components section, there is a pack of cards that they give you. And I'm not going to say what they do or what's inside them, but the pack of cards is there to sort of give you a little bit of an extra push to help you get through the game if it does get a little too difficult. And the cool thing about that extra pack is, without spoiling too much, it gives you a bunch of stuff, and then as you win, you slowly remove that stuff, so it doesn't just become easy for the rest of the time. It sort of gives you that little push to get over the hurdle, making your brain keep working on that puzzle, and hopefully as you're winning, you're learning and getting better at the game, so those start weaning out. I think that's a really cool way to sort of help support the difficulty without just saying, here's a really easy game to play. I think the difficulty of this game works really well. I think for very young children, it could be very, very hard. But again, this is a cooperative game, and played with at least 1 or 2 people who have some idea of what's going on and can support the table and sort of facilitate the discussion that helps solve these kinds of problems, means that it really shouldn't be overall all that difficult, but it's never going to be easy to the point where the challenges don't feel fun and the decisions don't feel fun. You do always feel like you're making meaningful decisions, and the more sort of complexity that gets added to the game from chapter to chapter really does mean that there are more decisions to be made and more sort of logic to be used about when and how you're doing things along the way. But there's always that hint of randomness from the cards that are coming up and how things are, sort of the options that are given to you along the way, that does add that sort of push your luck and that sort of tense edge of your seat anxiety that does make for a really fun sort of goal-oriented cooperative experience. And I really had a lot of fun with this game. Now, I should mention at the end of the game, I don't want to spoil anything because there is a nice reveal at the end of the game. But I just do want to point out here, because this is something that comes up with sort of every Legacy game, is what happens at the end of the game. Now, Wyatt already told you that this game is replayable, so let me just stress that here. Every time you're adding something, yes, this is a Legacy game, but nothing is sort of permanently added that permanently changes the game. You're not ripping up anything in this Legacy game. Nothing is destroyed. And everything that's added is sort of marked with a number of the chapter when it's added. So you could go back as it stands and play any of the 6 chapters following the rules introduced up to that chapter by reading only the rules in the rule book that have a number up to and including the number of the chapter that you're playing. Removing cards, removing tokens, removing whatever else has been added. But the things that are physically changed in the game are basically just the rules and stickers on the board. And they are very clearly labeled so that you can sort of ignore the things that aren't yet meaningful for the chapter you go back and play. So this game can be played as many times as you want to, and I will suggest that there is a way to play the campaign again as well, sort of from scratch. I don't want to say anything more than that, but there is no hard ending to this game, and that makes me especially happy because, you know, kids pick up on a game and they really enjoy the game and they want to play the game again and again and again and again. And if there is a hard end and say, sorry guys, we can't play anymore, that would be very disappointing. It would also be somewhat disappointing if at the end of the game, well, now you can only play the hardest chapter again, or something fun happened in this chapter, but now you can't do it anymore because you've finished the game and everything's sort of been changed to that new thing. Would also not be great. So I have to applaud them for the way that they've made not only just you can play again, but you can play any of these scenarios, any of the chapters as one-offs as you'd like, sort of forever, based on the way that everything was put together. I have to say I'm a huge fan of this game. It looks great. It's a lot of fun. It's very welcoming to kids. The story was a lot of fun. The twists were a lot of fun. I'm a big fan of legacy games in general, and the way that this legacy was done, that it's sort of more than a campaign because you are putting stickers on, but still sort of resettable and playable again. Great job done on this game. Not much more that I can say about this because, yeah, I was a big fan of this. If you are a fan of cooperative games, if you are a fan of legacy cooperative games, if you're looking for a sort of more gamey game for your family and kids, but still is light enough and fun enough and sort of group-based enough that your kids can join in and feel like they're making decisions but also not feel overwhelmed by the game, I have a big recommendation on this game. Definitely check this one out. That's basically all I have to say. I hope that this video was helpful for you. As always, if it was, I do ask that you remember to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon below, and I'll see you all next time.